Hey everybody, welcome to What's Up Wednesday. This week I want to give my perspective on why I feel sometimes safety services companies get a bad rap. And there are a lot of different names for what we do as a safety consulting or service company, but oftentimes the kind of company I'm talking about is referred to as a third-party safety company. And the reason they're called third party is that generally speaking, we hire safety professionals and we contract them to a project. It's a form of staff augmentation, but it's not at the same time. I don't want to necessarily get into that. But either way, generally we're referred to as third-party safety companies. And in my opinion, there are kind of three reasons that companies who do what we do get a bad rap, which I'm going to go into. The first thing I want to say, though, is whether you are looking for support from a company, a safety services company, and you're leery of the result you may get, or if you're a safety professional looking for a really good safety services company to work for, this might help a little bit as well. So ultimately, I look at the industry as a whole, and on one end of the spectrum, you have some very large, very long 10-year companies going back to, say, the early 1990s. Some of these companies have grown through acquisition, and some have grown just organically over the years. Many of these companies have now been purchased by somebody and are going through the process of being built so that they can be recapitalized, meaning that a private equity firm will sell them to somebody else. On the other end of the spectrum, you have what I call mom and pop shops. They're generally a safety professional who worked for a company and thought, hey, you know what? I can do this. I can start my own business. I can provide safety professionals. I have the relationships. I can do this. And I like to say that there are a million mom and pops out there who do that. Some do a pretty good job, but for the most part, the reason that oftentimes the term body shop is used is that companies hire people, they look at those people as highly disposable, and they contract them to a client and they make money on those people. That is the business model. With a lot of companies, I think one of the big reasons they get a bad rap is they're not connected to the employees they hire. They're not committed and they're not connected, meaning that really the only communication that they have with those people is around payroll. Other than that, they're not managing those people, they're not directing those people, they're not supporting those people. And I think that's a really big issue because there's no form of quality control since there's really a lack of commitment. So that's one of the big problems we have. I think another big problem is, and it relates somewhat to that, is that these companies maybe in their approach to finding employees, and many of them do not even hire employees. They 1099 people, which is a big no-no. They should not be doing that. It's illegal in every single way, but the reason they do it, and I've talked about this in past What's Up Wednesdays, they can maximize their profit because they don't have any hidden costs of employment, which would be benefits and taxes and whatnot. But ultimately, when they look at an employee, there's kind of a spectrum of how committed they may be long term. And the one thing I'll say about ISS is that when we hire an individual, we look at the opportunity to hire that person permanently. That doesn't mean that we hire somebody as a salaried headcount employee. Everybody is hired based on a contract on a project, but the intention is to develop folks, to invest in people, to get them certifications and continuing education, and ideally continue to move our people from client to client, project to project. That is our hope and our goal. Whether people realize it or not, it's very expensive to find good employees. And therefore, when we find them, we want to keep them. And I think that that's something as a job seeker you should be looking for. What is that company's intention? Do they just want you for this one job and they're done? Or do they have a reputation like ISS of taking very good care of their people and wanting to keep them as long as they can? Now, the reality is it's not always possible. It's based on the amount of work volume that we have. And even though things aren't as cyclical as they used to be, where it dies in the winter, it's still, there is a cycle of business where it's busier and where it's less busy, and the opportunities follow that cycle. I think one of the recommendations I would make to any company doing what we do is respect your people, respect your candidates, respect your employees, respect your clients, do everything you can to basically set the precedent, your values of how you're going to treat people, because ultimately that dictates who you are as an organization. And in the long run, I like to say that the lowest common denominator for success is our people. We are a people company. And actually, all companies are people companies. The better you take care of your people, the better you support your people, the more engaged they're going to be and the more successful they're going to be. So finally, when it comes to the client side, I think that the reason that a lot of companies are leery of using third-party safety companies is they've had bad experiences. Those companies aren't connected. They're not committed, like I talked about here a minute ago. And the client can feel that. And not only that, oftentimes they have very weak vetting processes. They don't have continuing education programs. They don't train their people. And really all they are is really sending is a body. And the clients, again, they can feel that. When things change and you have a sophisticated company that manages their staff, coaches and supports their people, communicates with the client to ensure the satisfaction and the performance of the people, then you're hitting on all cylinders, so to speak. Everything is working really, really well. And I think that's really the thing that separates the good companies from that stereotype in the industry that these companies are simply body shops. So think about that, right? If you're an employee looking for work, pick a good company that takes care of you. They should W-2 you. They should have full benefits. They should have training programs. They should have continuing education programs and allowances. And overall, they should treat you really well and support you and respect you. If you're a client, check to see if those companies are doing those things. Find out how they support their people, how they vet their people, how they continue to advance their people and grow their people, because that commitment level is going to be a leading indicator of success. So hopefully that's helpful, and hopefully that clears up, some of this rap that third-party safety companies get, but there's a reason for it. And I like to say that the really truly committed companies are world-class, and then they're all the others. So hopefully that's helpful. We'll see you next Wednesday.